guess I should do it this way, shouldn't I?
Hey, I'm going to welcome you guys to the weekly briefing because Joel is somewhere in the valley with his collar up, being James Dean driving through the canyon there.
Well, I'm going through one of the canyons from Malibu to Calabasas, so it's not quite as glamorous as all that, but no, it's good to be with you. Tim, what's today's date? I don't even know. I'm just being totally honest.
Yeah, it's July 8th. And it is
July 8th.
Yeah.
Well, here's what's cool. So you and I are both in Los Angeles this week, and while we were out here, had the fortunate experience to connect with Dominic DiMaria. And Dominic also showed us his space just outside of downtown. And you and I were both so inspired by like just his vision. And we said, gosh, wouldn't it be cool to talk about space and the role and how it plays into community and other things. And so we said, Dominic, can you join us today for the weekly briefing and just talk to owners that might be processing the same questions of like, what does it mean to go back to work in your studio space? I have a few clients that are getting rid of their old space and moving into new space. So Tim, that's kind of the goal here, is to just process this and hear what Dominic's decision making and what he's doing and why is he excited about it and so forth.
Yeah, so Dominic, introduce yourself. Tell us about Soulmatter, and we're going to get into some of the better details of what we saw when we were in your space, but just give us a brief introduction.
Well, first off, thanks for having me. It was a pleasure to have you guys in the space as well. That was a cool moment to be able to give you guys the tour. I am Dominic. I'm the artist in chief at Soulmatter, which is our clients call us a perspective studio. You know, we have a creative agency behind us, but really what our primary strength is bringing perspective, helping people develop their own perspective and make deliverables from that lead to real outcomes and not just having more videos on YouTube.
Yeah, so I know that you moved like mid-pandemic from the East Coast into Los Angeles, right? So even this venture that you're on and defining yourself and defining the space is somewhat centered in this new world order that we're living in.
Definitely, yeah. I was in LA for a couple of years and then spent a couple of years in New York as well. And then coming up on COVID winter in Brooklyn, I just wasn't too excited to stick to the New York scene. So I had my business partner, I co-founded a brand called Das Audi, which is a fine aesthetics brand here in LA. And we decided to collaborate on a space and make it our studio.
Hey, can I ask, Dominic, when you're in New York and you're thinking about making this move to LA, like, why in the world were you thinking in terms of a space? Because we're in the middle of COVID when everyone is saying, oh my God, can I get rid of my space?
Because it seemed like the opposite of what everyone else was doing. So I felt like it would be a great time to look at some real estate.
I love the counterintuitive thinking there of like, well, if everyone is going left, I guess I'll go right.
I like to tell my business partner, Tucker, I tell him that I like to study the zigs because I like to zag.
Wasn't it Tucker too that found, I should say you have a warehouse space in downtown Los Angeles, or just kind of south of downtown Los Angeles. And it really is like an artist in residence kind of a space. There's an open floor plan, a small site that's in there, a recording studio, which is really, really cool. And then even some residencies. Wasn't it Tucker that found it? Like basically what he was driving through the neighborhood and he knew of the artist that was leaving that day because of the pandemic, and you literally zagged while that guy was singing, right? That's kind of what's happening.
Yeah. So we had been looking for a space it had only been a couple of weeks. I had taken a trip out to LA and I was meeting with Tucker and we decided to pull the trigger. So I went back to New York to get all my things. He was looking at, we were just combing through LA trying to find a spot that would work. And the crazy part is we made a wish list of, okay, we need to be able to have a workshop so we can do acrylic and woodworking and metalworking. We wanted to have a cyc wall so we could do, traditional like media, like photo shoots, editorial, etc. Tucker's also an interior designer, so we wanted to be able to showcase some of his aesthetics. He also makes furniture and makes home goods. So we kind of had this wish list. The recording studio was part of it. We wanted somewhere we could take music and start publishing music. And we ended up with a space that had all of those things. Plus, we also have a paint studio and a rooftop view. And we had looked at a lot of other spaces. And yeah, Tucker had been in this building. He'd been a tenant years ago and just was passing through and decided to check in. And due to COVID, the previous tenant had to relocate. So we got in basically the same day.
Yeah, pretty awesome. I mean, it's very serendipitous, the timing to know that you're out there looking for something unique, and then clearly the guy was walking out the door when you're walking in. That's a cool moment for you.
Yeah, it was cool to see the universe provide for that intention,
So I'm sure people are curious. I don't know where you are located right now, if you can show off some of it, but I'll tell you
sure.
What impressed Joel and I is when we walked through the space was just the way that you've set it up in you've basically invented a creative environment, not necessarily specifically a production environment or a workforce. It's not just desks and computers thinking you're going to accomplish one thing, but I can see when I walk through the space, what you're looking for is the beginning of creative collaboration, whatever the origin of that might be. So, I basically walked through the shop originally, and then I walked into what seems like the production space where you have the psych and your table set up, and even your kitchen off to the side. I feel like I could be like Tom Selleck driving into my Corvette into your living room kind of moment there when I
Right.
first got there. But then you have upstairs collaboration space where the artist residents can hang out. You do have a media space set there, but I want to even say that, don't you have like a tattoo guy set up there too? Doesn't your fine artist also a tattoo
Yes.
guy? And you have
Yeah, so we part of the actual studio production space, we built a custom cyc wall. There was a living room there before or something in the warehouse space, so we tore all that out and we built a cyc wall, and just really wanted to lean into the art direction pretty hard and make it a space that was aesthetically like 360. You could shoot in any direction. You could shoot on the studio if you wanted, but there were additional options. And I've worked in a lot of co-working spaces. Obviously, Tucker and I have both worked in a lot of studios over the years. And then I've also started seeing, some of these aesthetics brands that have showrooms and things like that. And we sort of wanted to create a Venn diagram of all the above. And that means that, art's a big part of that. So when we moved into the space, we started repping a couple artists, and one of them is Tans, who did a bunch of the paintings that you guys saw when you walked through. And he also he's also a tattoo artist. So we have a little setup. We do tattooing sometimes.
That's so awesome. I kind of imagine like walking in the space, like the DJ is in the corner and he's making something going on. There's a smell of human flesh as the tattoo guy is going on there, and the guy upstairs is on the conference call with his clients or whatever.
100%.
There are people listening here, and some of what we would like to have in the conversation is the thought of like rethinking the creative space and using your model as a little bit of inspiration and maybe even a metaphor of like what's possible creatively when you think about a space, and almost trying to break the rules. You obviously have even said like you go against some trends. So whatever everyone else has set up, I imagine you want to throw that out the door and do that because that's the Dominic way of doing it. But do you find like that inspirational to you as an artist for your clients? Clients want to be in a space like that? Do they think it's great, or do you try to have clients avoid a space because they won't get it? How does it really work, like practically?
That's a solid question. I mean, about 5 years ago, I read this book by a French philosopher named Gaston Bachelard, and it's called The Poetics of Space. And it talks about how when we dream, the architecture that we create in our dreams represent certain things to us, and phenomenologically, how we get to creative places from that. Our emotions are tied to these spaces. And, think about something like a shed versus a nest. and what that would represent to your intuition, how you would feel in a space like that. So, I think it's what we really want to do is strip the pretentious side of aesthetics away. And we wanted to make a museum that you can touch. It's an art museum, but you can sit in all the chairs. We're obsessed with the famous designer chairs because we're impressed with the design and we think they're really comfortable. And it's not just to look at and to, fawn over. It's like, no, we can sit in these and we can actually converse. And yes, we do walkthroughs every day. I love having people come through. Clients love it here. It's like I said, the 360-degree thing, like you can sit in the lounge and feel like you're having an upscale, you're at an upscale like cocktail bar while you're shooting, while you're at work, shooting editorial or shooting, e-commerce or whatever it is you're doing. So really we wanted to embrace the idea that space is poetic and it has potential to be more than just, I think production facilities can be bare white walls a lot. And we wanted it to be more than that.
Yeah, I think you're right. So bare white walls or just walls with images hanging on them, right? That's what a lot of people like. They're really containing their workforce or work method, whatever, within basically always a box in a way. And I appreciate that. What I was even inspired because the woodwork was right there. I feel like I could pick up something and start painting if I wanted to, right from the very beginning.
Right.
Yeah. The image that you kind of painted too of like a museum you can touch, because I was sitting in the Ames chairs too, and knowing that like this, honestly, I could have been at a museum with the furniture you have sitting there, and to think that your partner made that couch, which looks like it's straight from mid 1900s. And then I was or an actual Ames chair from, probably a collection of some sort. Kind of very cool collective feeling.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I think that I am really proud of and impressed by my business partner. I think he's an amazing artist and designer. And it's a pleasure to be able to showcase some of his work. So that's good to hear.
Yeah, very cool. Joel,
we
jump
wanted
back on camera.
I have a question for you, Dominic.
Yeah.
Jump in, Joel.
Yeah, thanks. A question for you is, in Confab, we've been having this ongoing conversation, I'll call it, around the word community as like a concept, as a central like tenet of what it means to be a thriving studio these days. I'm super curious just to hear from you. Was that part of the original vision, or has it become part of the vision for the space? Like what's the role of community in all this? Because I know you're obviously a big advocate for that concept.
Yeah, I love that question, because when we first set out to do it, what I started looking at was like, how do we take our favorite parts of all these disparate things? Like, it's not Soho House, but I like the idea of having a membership. I like that people can come work with us and can come contribute to the sustainability of the space, and we can all share it together. I love, in the mid-century world, all the showrooms and stores, especially here in LA, and shops in Brooklyn. And I think the way that it touches the community is that we spend a lot of time developing relationships with the people in our world and building what we call our tribe. We've called our community that for several years, and that's people resonate with that. And I think every tribe needs a village, and who's gonna make the village. So that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to create a landing strip for our community to be able to interface with us in an immediate way, in an inspiring way. My very favorite thing about the space is when people walk in, they look up, and the ceiling's 30 feet high, and they start talking about ideas, and it's like, you've been here for 15 seconds, and it's like, we're shortening the gap for ourselves and for our tribe to get to the creativity. It's like, you don't need to do a whole ritual to turn into, artist mode. It's like, it's right here. You just turn the corner and you can start creating.
So do you have any actual plans right now for events, something that will call it a regular thing or an open house or a happy hour Friday, whatever, that will foster some of that community and create some sort of a regular occurring almost anchor that people will show up and hang and vibe and all that?
100%. So we did, with COVID restrictions being lifted recently, within the last month or so, people becoming more comfortable. We've tested out doing a Sunday day party where we just basically invite, the tribe to come and spend some time with us. And, we throw the ping pong table on the psych wall and we just have a good time. And it was, I think we gave everyone a couple hours notice last time we did it, and the space filled up really quick. So that'll be, for anyone who's interested in coming to spend some time with us, hop on our website, soulmatter.co, and join the email newsletter, because we'll be sending out invites soon. That'll be at least a monthly occurrence. We might start doing some bi-weekly stuff as well. And we do have an event coming up on the 24th as well, which is a fashion-centered evening with some really cool local LA designers and some food trucks and other special fare. So yeah, lots of things on the docket.
Dang, I need to come back to town and do the hang. That sounds awesome.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's do it.
Yeah, I feel like you need the barista / bartender as part of your everyday tribe there too, so we can have a place to hang out every afternoon if we wanted to.
That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea.
I've been known to play a pretty mean bartender. So.
Oh yeah. All right.
I'll volunteer.
We'll start ripping some sidecars.
Joe, you're
there.
hired.
You go. Now you're talking. Yeah, I'm hired.
I love it.
I wonder if we would read because I think you're sitting in the living room / psych room right now, right?
I'm actually in my studio now, but I'm happy to show you guys some visuals if you'd like.
Yeah, I just kind of be curious for people to see, because I think some of what we explained, it feels like it would be just like an enormous space, all the different situations you have you set up in, but really it flows very easily. And the thought is like, no, it's just basically a constant creative space. So you have movable furniture, access to your wood shop is just right outside the front door there.
Right.
The thing I kind of picture is I think most of us in the creative space want to kind of get our hands dirty also. So we think like, we're working on computers, but we have these ideas of doing fine art or going to the wood shop and adding something, or being curious how something would work just for a live action shoot. And we have to get up from our office and drive to our house and go into our garage, or, drag an easel into our living room or whatever, and begin that process.
Right.
And I think that you've basically removed all those hurdles, where that if you're curious how something would work, you can stand up right now and walk over to your wood shop. It's attached to you, and you could cut something, hammer something, drill something, pour something, whatever you wanted to, and
go right down the stairs.
Yeah. So I think that's when I imagine people kind of coming back to work and wondering about how their space might look. I almost wonder if there's something to recognize that maybe this is an opportunity to remove some of those hurdles. If we don't need all these desks and these cutout rooms for separate offices, or if our body count's going to kind of shift from day to day, so there's going to be maybe shared desk space, or people are going to work only a couple of days of work from the office and work from home. And there should be some understanding of like, well, that gives us opportunity then to have, a pile of tools in the corner and do something, or keep that easel up and leave that artist at work. Or get a tattoo in the afternoon when the guy shows up.
There you go. Yeah, I think one of the things that is really important for me, just in terms of the way we approach anything, is that it shouldn't be, there is no stencil for this. And I think a lot of times for space, I mean, we think of offices as a certain thing. We think of even co-working spaces, for the most part, bring up certain assumptions for us. And whether it's, how you qualify your clients, how you qualify your collaborators, how you qualify any of these things, it's really just got to work for you. And when we looked at what we wanted out of the space, it's deconstructed, it is modular, but all the pieces, you can kind of like rearrange it any way you want and it still works. And that's just, curating the right ingredients, and that's the right ingredients for us, you know. And I think it resonates with people because it's not there's really no facades, you know. You can see right through it. We're building sets in the garage, you know. That's it's we stanchion off the area, and you know, it's we're just getting our hands dirty.
Yeah, and permission granted, right? It's not like it's any big deal to pull something out and do it. It is like it's part of your MO as a company is to have that accessibility.
Absolutely, yeah.
The I'm curious as like as you're going to build your company and grow it too. Do you see yourself having to keep up that whole MO, or is this just a season of your creative business cycle or whatever, and you recognizing, oh no, I think if I got into, you know, one of your TV shows or films got picked up and you were in full-fledged production, if you might become a little bit more systematic and fill that thing up with desks and computers and not be able to have as free-flowing as you want? Or do you see it as like, oh, I have to, no, this is going to be the stable way of always doing things?
It changes every day. I mean, it's, you know, there are different reasons why it changes. Tucker finds some chairs on Craigslist. He finds some Wasley chairs, and all of a sudden it's rearranged and it looks different. So we're definitely, I mean, it's a fluid, it's an amoeba of a space. It definitely changes, but we kind of agree on the aesthetic qualities of it. And so that part will stay the same. But yeah, I mean, I'm actually really excited. We've, you know, just last week we had a team in town, one of the team we were working with, and we just filled up the production office and we're doing post work all day, you know, and that was a dream. So as we continue to do our own IP, you know, host more of our workshops, we're really excited to do live workshops. We've been doing Zoom workshops for the last year. We want people to touch it and feel like they can be at home here.
Yeah, I love it. It's cool. And I think the music you're a producer of the music studio is just like another IP you can make with that accessibility to a space like that. You can bring in an artist, start producing music, mix that stuff into the films you're doing. It's I feel like what you've built for yourself is the tools that you needed at reach. You kind of surrounded yourself with it so that there really is no excuse to not be creative on a daily basis.
We wanted to make it an operating system for next generation futuristic ideas, you know, for people to be able to like push their own boundaries. And yeah, the music studio, being able to do licensing and, you know, music publishing and you know, the beautiful thing about LA is there are incredible musicians and recording artists all over this town. And it's really cool, again, to just give them a landing strip, a crash pad, a place where they can come and cook up.
Well, mission accomplished, man. You've made a creative operating system, that's for sure. And I'm as creative as I want to be. You know, I don't have to produce creative on an everyday basis. Again, like, I think it was like 11 o'clock at night, and I was ready to go. I was going to start designing some of those jackets with you. Right.
I thought you were going to start DJing all of a sudden.
Dude, I was playing with that.
You were. You know? Okay, Tim, Sunday day party. One of these days, come on by and we'll put you on the decks.
All right, you got a deal. I'll bring my laptop, so I'll be ready to go. But I can just use your Pioneer. I'll be ready. I know how to use that one.
There we go.
It'll be fun. I love it.
We got a few of them around.
Yeah, you did. That's what inspired me. What we probably could do is trade out our songs and we can challenge each other. Pretty fun.
I love it. You know, it's funny. I guaranteed a friend, he said if he ordered his Tesla, that I would have to get on the decks live before the end of the summer. So I'm on the hook. He's already driving a Tesla.
Oh, really? Yeah.
The
pressure's on, man. It's making the playlist.
Pressure is on.
I just sit there and make playlists all day trying to see if I can figure out how to make this thing happen.
I'm right there with you.
Awesome, Dominic. Thank you so much for being part of the conversation and sharing it with you. What we should do is, as a follow-up, because let's just post some images or maybe you can do a walkthrough for us and post it in community so that people can kind of see the space and what we're talking about. I really wanted the conversation to be more like the central ideas so that really no one's going to find a warehouse space as unique as yours, you know, in every neighborhood that they're possibly in. But the thought process, and I love some of the stuff you shared about if you know, making this space in such a way that people can touch it. It really is the center of most of our creative energy needs to have that place to do it. So I appreciate that you did that.
I'm really grateful for you guys giving me the opportunity to talk about it a little bit. It is a labor of love. We're really passionate about not only how the space functions, but what we do here as well. So yeah, it's great to pump it up a little bit. And I see Lydia says she'd love to see some photos. So Lydia, we've got some photos. We have a gallery on the site now, but I'll do as Tim just asked and post on the community as well.
Yeah, just do us like a walkthrough or something like that, so you can we can see it.
Yeah.
All right, my friend. Thank you so much. I think we lost Joel because I saw Marcel jumping in somewhere at the very end there.
Oh, is that Marcel? Yeah. Nice.
I think we lost him right there at the very end. So I
All
appreciate you
good,
being
all
our
good.
guest. We'll post that stuff on the community brief so people can see it and get a reference for it. And good to see you live. And we'll see you in a few weeks maybe when I come back.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thanks for having me, Tim. Really appreciate it.
You have a good day.
Take care. Yeah, you too. Peace.
Bye.